What's up, everybody? Welcome back to our All 32 series for the Pick Six podcast. Katie Mox and Will Brinson here. This is the series where we catch up with insiders to give you the need-to-know information on every NFL team. Today, we are diving into the New England Patriots with Pick Six super friend, CBS Sports NFL writer, and Patriots insider, Tyler Sullivan. Sully, thank you for joining us and giving your time. How are we doing today?
No worries. What's going on, guys? Long time no talk.
Did
you just induct Sully into the,
I was about to say, I feel like
Sully's just became a super friend.
I haven't been on in a while. I got elevated and promoted.
It's like, wow, congrats, Sully. Well, look, let's be clear. Yes. You might, Katie, I guess, Katie, you are a super, you and I are the new super friends, really. Like, Breach is still there. And but Wilson with his little diva ways had to go, I have my own draft podcast. I'm tired of talking about the draft with Brinson. You can check out, by the way, Ryan Wilson's excellent podcast with Rick Spielman with the first pick, wherever you find your podcast.
Quick. Maybe I have a misunderstanding of what a super friend is, because I thought there was Will Brinson and then the cast around you was the super friends. Which
no. It's sort of like the Justice. It's like the Justice League or the Avengers, with less superpowers and less height. Sully's a perfect. Sully is more than welcome to be a super friend. I just didn't know.
Okay.
You're in. Congrats, Sully, on your promotion. There's no title and no pay raise whatsoever, but you're a super friend.
That's fine. Okay. It's like I'm like the Ant-Man of Avengers at this point.
Who am I? Katie, I guess congrats too. You're a super friend as well.
Okay. Well, look at I've inducted both of us.
Look at us. We both
didn't see that happening.
Come up.
Yeah. Ironically, we need the Paul Rudd gif where he's like, "Look at us drinking water." That's Ant-Man too. Okay. So the Patriots. We're recording this in advance so people are aware. Yeah. In the event, we're recording this on a Friday. You're listening to it early in the week. I think probably Tuesday. But just to be clear, if DeAndre Hopkins signs, we didn't know about it. If he signs at 4:30 on Tuesday, we'll probably come back and have to bug Sully again. But for right now, DeAndre Hopkins remains unsigned, but spent plenty of time with the Patriots. And I think I saw a report from Jeff Howe of The Athletic that the Patriots are actually really pursuing him even after he left Foxborough, but is still like kind of locally based. What are you hearing on Hopkins? What do you think the timeline is? And how do you think this would be a net benefit for the Patriots?
Well, yeah, certainly it would help the New England Patriots if they bring in a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. I just find it fascinating from a big picture standpoint with the Patriots. They don't really do this kind of stuff. Like, they don't really do these recruiting visits and kind of, trying to woo and push to sign these guys. Usually, Bill Belichick, he's accustomed to teams trying to woo him, trying to join New England and trying to take a reduced salary to join the New England Patriots. So they're in kind of new ground here with all of this. And again, that's just a testament to how things have gone post Tom Brady.
It's a Tom Brady effect, really.
Sure.
Remember like Ocho Cinco, Albert Hainsworth, Corey Dillon. Randy Moss was traded, but like people were dying to go to New England. And those are just some of the bigger name guys and they didn't all work out. But like DeAndre Hopkins, is the type of guy 10 years ago would have been like, look, I don't want any money. I just want to come and win. And now it seems to be the opposite.
Right. And going to the actual visit, it does seem from all accounts looking from the outside that things went well. He's posting on his Instagram story alongside Matthew Judon, calling him La Familia. So there is a connection. Judon's been very public on social media trying to recruit DeAndre Hopkins. So from that standpoint, it does look like there is at least interest on the part of DeAndre Hopkins. He took the visit. He's posting about the visit. And from a Patriots standpoint, not only does he provide a need, but there's a ton of familiarity. Obviously, the Bill O'Brien thing's pretty obvious, but even going back to Bill Belichick, you go back to the Monday Night Football game last year leading up with the Patriots and Cardinals, Bill Belichick was talking about DeAndre Hopkins and putting him in the category of one of the best players he's ever had to coach against. And that is, for a guy like Bill Belichick, that is a pretty prestigious list to be on. So that from that standpoint, there's interest on both sides. We'll have to see where it goes.
What are the early impressions, Sully, of Mac Jones at minicamp? We talked last year, he didn't really have a lot of weapons, and now potentially there's DeAndre Hopkins is going to be in there. You look at some of his futures, his season passing yards over under 3,250 and a half, passing touchdowns 16 and a half. What does it look like from what you've seen so far? Are these overs or unders?
Well, it's so funny because, going through OTAs and minicamp over the past couple of days and weeks, you're excited to see, and you're talking about DeAndre Hopkins. You're wondering what this offense is going to look like with him potentially coming aboard. I still want to see what it looks like with Juju Smith-Schuster. We haven't seen him on the field at this point this offseason, along with Tyquan Thornton, the second-round pick in 2021. We haven't seen those guys come in, 2022. We haven't seen those guys because they've either been dealing with injuries, the Patriots are holding them back. So when they're giving us the glimpses of this offense, it's with Devontae Parker, it's with Kendrick Bourne, it's with guys that even beyond that top four haven't really been involved too much. And, you get a little bit with the tight ends, you get a little bit with the running backs, but it hasn't really been that full picture view of what this offense could be, even without DeAndre Hopkins. So what we've seen so far from Mac Jones, extremely efficient. I don't know if they're necessarily trying as hard as they possibly can. Again, this is minicamp and OTAs. They're going 11 on 11s, but it's not full pads, full contact like we'll get in training camp. But what we've seen so far from Mac Jones specifically is the accuracy that has really caught my eye. I think that is a part that Bill O'Brien is really going to try to highlight in this offense. The fact that Mac Jones, who isn't the most mobile quarterback in the world, but is pinpoint accuracy. He's smart pre-snap. That's the type of stuff that we've seen so far that I think is going to be interesting with Bill O'Brien at the helm.
So do we think that where is the trust level with Bill Belichick and Mac Jones? I mean, there was obviously a big thing coming out of the year when you had I think Tom Curran, a friend of the pod, pointed out that, he went in, Mac Jones was like seeking outside counsel. And you and I talked about this several times last year, so or in the offseason, all bleeds together, right? But Mac Jones was going outside and trying to talk to people what do I do? Try to make the offense better, which is, it's the irony of it is that's, he's trying to get better, but by going outside the Patriots, the Patriots way, he of course violated Bill Belichick's trust. Do we think is there a pathway where he rebuilds that? Was that overblown? And because he helped Bill O'Brien learn the Alabama offense when B.O.B. got down there to Tuscaloosa. Is the Bill O'Brien, Bill Belichick, Mac Jones connection enough to really re-solidify that trust level?
Yeah, I think so. And I think this offseason went a long way in doing that. I think that everybody is aware that the Matt Patricia, Joe Judge leading the offense last year was, spoiler alert, not a great idea. That blew up in their face.
Anyone other than Bill Belichick does that, and we're like, this is the worst. Andy Reid did this with Juan Castillo when he made him the defensive coordinator after he was the offensive line coach. And we're like, okay, Andy Reid's great. We're going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And it blew up. Only Belichick could get away with doing that crap.
Yeah, and I mean, we knew it right away in training camp last year that this is not how things typically are run. And then you go fast forward into OTAs and minicamp. You're like, yeah, this makes a lot more sense. And Mac Jones even noted, I think in a veiled kind of side jab to the way things went last year, calling this offseason, this offense with Bill O'Brien normal. And you're like, okay, that's
I don't know if that's veiled. I guess it's kind of veiled.
That's pretty veiled, but kind of direct at the
veiled.
Same time. So that part, but I do think that the fact that they were able to move off of that, bring in an established guy in Bill O'Brien who knows Bill Belichick, knows the system, knows Mac Jones, and they go into the offseason and do make some moves. Now, DeAndre Hopkins will have to put off to the side. We don't know if that's going to happen, but we do know that they brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, who on paper should be an elevation over Jacoby Myers. They bring in Mike Gesicki, who is definitely going to be an upgrade over Jonnu Smith. They're improving the roster around him on top of giving him an actual offensive head coach. I think that'll go a long way in smoothing things over.
It was rude to say that about Jacoby Myers, by the way.
I know. I knew that would get a rise out of you.
So you talked about, we talked about Mac Jones and the passing game, but what about the ground game? Are there concerns with the depth chart with running backs right now?
No, I actually think it's low-key going to be one of their strengths. I think that is one thing to kind of keep an eye on here. Obviously, you lose Damian Harris. That's a big note. Going to Buffalo, he's going to be in your backyard in the division. That's going to sting a little bit. But I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to be in for a huge year. He already had a big year last year. He was a big piece of their offense. I think it's only going to be bigger. But I also really am interested to see what happens with Pierre Strong and Kevin Harris. They're 2 draft picks from a year ago. They look good in minicamp and in OTAs. Again, there's not a lot of contact. It's tough to really tell because you're running through an offensive line, you're running through a defense that really can't do too much. But just from how they look bigger. They look like NFL caliber running backs. They don't look like guys that are in the first year in the league. And another one too, Ty Montgomery, I think, is a guy that was having a huge year, a huge training camp last year, and just injuries got in the way, wasn't able to be an impact for this team. He's back again this year. And I think, again, he's going to be somebody who you can line up in the backfield, move him in the slot, be a kind of a chess piece for this team. Okay. They kept him here for a reason. And so all of a sudden, you're talking about 4 running backs that are now at their disposal. I think that those 4 are going to be interesting. They got rid of James Robinson, but I think that that's, again, partially because of injuries, but partially because they see Kevin Harris and Pierre Strong, they could be factors here.
Interesting. Okay. I think Ramondre Stevenson looks like a feature back, but yeah. if you just sort of glance at the depth of it and, you could look at that as a possible concern. I think that's a very interesting note. People who are into best ball drafts and the such, or do you want to take a deep fantasy flyer? Like those Strong and Harris make a ton of sense as guys who could see a workload if something happens to Stevenson, right?
Well, you never know too. I mean, Pierre Strong, as much as we've seen Ramondre Stevenson be that receiving back as well as a pure runner and be a feature guy, we all know that the Patriots offense loves to have that kind of receiver, whether it's Shane Vereen, Falk, James White, even Rex Burkhead for a little bit too. Pierre Strong kind of has the making of that type of player. So yeah, maybe in a best ball, not even injury withstanding, if you're talking deep leagues, that could be someone you might want to look at.
All right, let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk some defense, maybe some 2 tight end comparisons, maybe not, and some gambling odds for the Patriots. Next. Okay, Sully, on the tight ends real quick, I'll let Katie ask you about the defense. This just occurred to me. My old brain sometimes takes a while to get the cobwebs shook out, but I forgot that. I don't know why I forgot this. I just remember talking to Bill O'Brien in Indianapolis at the Super Bowl, Patriots Giants, when the second time around when Eli Manning hit Mario Manningham. I'm sure you remember the pain in your childhood. I don't want to relive it. The point being is that was sort of when they had Aaron Hernandez, and obviously things didn't work out off the field, RIP, whatnot. But like Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski were an insane combination, and Bill O'Brien really utilized them well in that offense. I mean, do we think that? I mean, can the Patriots sort of? I don't want to say like I'm not suggest like bring. I don't know where I'm trying to go here with this. I think what I'm trying to say is like, how do Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki, can they be utilized in a similar fashion? They're not quite as chess piecey. Like Gronk and Hernandez were such a perfect complement because you could move Hernandez all over, and then Gronk was the ultimate red zone weapon. I just sort of wonder, do we think this is enough to sort of replicate what they had before in that Bill O'Brien offense?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be the same because, like you were saying, when they were using Hernandez like an H-back at times too. Like it was much different in terms of the skill sets between Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. But I do think that you're going to see a sizable amount of 12 personnel with both those guys on the field. Now, I don't think that that's really going to be in rushing situations. I don't know if Mike Gesicki is the type of guy that's like Gronkowski who can catch the ball and also block with the best of them as well. But from what we've seen so far with Mike Gesicki, very fluid, very smooth within this offense. They do have other tight ends like Anthony Ferkser and, Scotty Washington, someone who I just noticed from a physical standpoint was a lot bigger than what I imagined. He's just, that's depth pieces that can help them in the running game and kind of be that third option for them. But as it relates to Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki, I think that it could be a fascinating red zone offense with both of those guys on the field at the same time. We've already seen the chemistry between Mac Jones and Hunter Henry in the red area. I think that Gesicki could certainly be that guy as well.
All right, let's talk about that defense. Obviously, Bill Belichick run defense is always going to be a bright spot for the Patriots. You got Christian Gonzalez, a rare rookie cornerback drafted high by Bill Belichick. How are the vibes for the defense this year? Are you feeling confident?
Yeah, I think that is probably going to be the biggest strength of this team. As much as we're going to talk about Bill O'Brien, as much as we're going to talk about Mac Jones in year 3 and how much can he be the franchise guy and all that stuff, the strength of this team is going to be its defense. And the reason why they are contending in these games are going to be because they're able to slow down Aaron Rodgers, because they're able to slow down Josh Allen and Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. That's what's going to kind of make the life easier for the offense. And what we've seen so far, you mentioned Christian Gonzalez. So far, day one, starting corner. It just feels like he's
Really?
out there with the first team offense the entire time. And it feels like we're kind of in that trajectory where he's just going to be that plug and play kind of guy. Now, let's see what it looks like. He's going to be tested right out of the gate. I mean, potentially you're talking about either Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown that you're going to be asked to cover in week 1 against the Eagles. But right now, and how things, when they're running their first team offenses and things like that, more often than not, you're seeing Christian Gonzalez opposite of whether it's Jack Jones or Jalen Mills or Jonathan Jones. It's Christian Gonzalez that's out there.
That's fascinating. So, I mean, I was thinking about this when we were, sort of crafting our questions for Patriots purposes. That was a lot of alliteration that I didn't mean to have. Thank you. That's it. I'm out of here. Is this that's the highest that Belichick's ever? Am I missing on somebody obvious? This is the highest he's ever drafted a cornerback, right?
Corner, probably. I can't.
Stephon Gilmore and Darrelle Revis are the highest drafted cornerbacks he's ever acquired, and he signed Gilmore to that big contract, and then they traded for Revis, right? Or they traded for Revis?
I think Revis was either a free agent signing or
right. I mean, sorry. I mean, I could. I'm like 99% sure it is because the Patriots haven't picked that high under Bill Belichick. Like they never picked this high. And when they traded up, they mostly traded up to get anyway, it's like Chandler Jones. I'm pretty sure it's the highest he's ever drafted him. So it's like that to me is given his background in coaching and how he's developed, Malcolm Butler, all these later round cornerbacks and turn them into stars and then let them go. I think it's like, to me, the expectations for Gonzalez specifically are like, I don't think are being talked about enough given who drafted him, how high he was drafted, and that roster that's already in place.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know. It's tough to say, okay, he's going to be the day one guy. He's going to be the Steph Gilmore. He's going to be the next Ty Law. It's tough to put that on him. And even in today's terms, like he can't be, he's not going to be Sauce Gardner. I don't think you could put that. He might be, but you can't put that expectation.
I mean, Sauce Gardner wasn't even supposed to be Sauce Gardner.
Sure, exactly. So, is he someone that can come out and start and maybe kind of ease his way along and then maybe become towards the end of the year that shutdown guy? He's going to have plenty of opportunities. Like I said, he's starting with the first team offense in OTAs and in minicamp. Probably going to be the case when we get back to this team in training camp. It's just a matter of how quickly can it click in terms of the speed of the game. And like I said, too, you're going to be tested early, whether it's A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. You look at some of these games that they have coming up, the Patriots. I mean, week 1, like I said, A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. Week 2, Jalen Waddle or Tyreek Hill. Maybe even week 3, Garrett Wilson. That is trial by fire.
Have fun with that.
That is throwing him out of the nest and seeing if he will fly. Now, if he stinks in those games, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be a bust, but also it'll be fascinating to see how he deals with that adversity right out of the gate.
Well, I mean, we look at some Patriots futures here, and you talked about how tough it is in just even the first 3 games, who their opponents are. Win total set to 7.5. Total wins in division, that over under set to 2.5. And you look at that division, the Bills are a juggernaut. And then the Jets now have Aaron Rodgers. Like, how well are the Patriots going to do in division this year?
Yeah, the division is as tough as it's been in a long time. Robert Kraft said this offseason that it's the toughest division in the NFL. So, they're looking at it in a lens that's much different than how they've looked at it in years past under Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft, obviously, because, when they had Tom Brady, not only were they the top dogs in the NFL, but that entire division just wasn't able to really get its footing. Now it's a totally different ball game. You have MVP caliber guys, you have former MVPs, you have first round picks, all of that in all different areas. And now you are in the spot where you're in the bottom. And so for me, I think it's going to be about the defense. And I keep going back to it. If they have this shutdown defense, and it's kind of what I was talking about, and I think I talked about it with you and Katie. I think we talked about it before when the Dolphins got Jalen Ramsey. I thought that was a great counter to what everybody else in the division was building. Even with the Patriots bringing Bill O'Brien, one of the best ways to kind of help slow down those high-flying offenses is to bring what could be a shutdown corner in Jalen Ramsey. I think that's kind of a similar approach how we should be looking at the Patriots here too. I do want to mention, we're talking about Christian Gonzalez, that Marte Mapu, the 3rd-round pick out of Sacramento State, he's been a linebacker safety hybrid. He's been really impressive. And I think that one of the things that's being talked about here locally is how this defense is going to look with Devin McCourty retired. And obviously, Super Bowl champion, captain, an all-time Patriot. He'll go into the Patriots Hall of Fame, but he is your classic center fielder. Now, and you had Jabril Peppers talking about this at the end of minicamp, they're able to quote-unquote spin the dial a little bit more because you have so much position versatility with Mapu, with Peppers, with Jalen Mills, that you can kind of sit in one look and do 3 or 4 different things and really confuse opposing quarterbacks. So if they're able to do that and be effective, because last year they were number 2 against the pass in DVOA, if you're telling me that they can kind of keep that level of playoff but also provide a little bit of mystery, I think that that's going to help them in the division against these quarterbacks.
So, by the way, 3 of the top 9 MVP candidates at Caesars, the quarterbacks in the Patriots division, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Tua Tagovailoa are all in the top 9. That is crazy. And it's actually kind of interesting. If this defense for the Patriots is that good, it could really impact the MVP race. Like if the Patriots have a top 5 defense in the NFL and they limit Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, and Tua Tagovailoa twice, and that's asking a lot because these guys are really good quarterbacks. Like that could flip everything on its head, and it makes Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Like if you wanted to bet on the Patriots, you know what I'm saying, like a sort of a correlated bet on the Patriots having a good defense would be to take those 3 guys out of your top 9 and say, okay, who could, the odds for Mahomes, the odds for Burrow, the odds for Hurts, Herbert, Lawrence, Lamar should be higher. Just a thought there. Anything else catch your eye, Sully, in terms of Patriots? You were all over the Patriots stinking it to join up last year, and you were right. I tried to talk you out of it. You're like, no, dude, I don't know what to tell you. This offense is going to be dog crap. And it was worse than you even projected. Where's your sense of, because I think you do a good job. Like, I mean, you got Patriots Super Bowl things behind you. You grew up a Pats fan, but I think you do a very good job as a journalist of being objective when it comes to your expectations for this team. Like, what do you think about that win total 7.5?
Either that, or I'm just naturally salty about all my.
Or you're just
that could also just be true.
Or you just watch the Bruins you watch the Bruins get knocked out in the first round. As the
Bruins, the Celtics, the Red Sox think they're going with the Yankees this week. It's probably going to be a sweep. But but if really quickly, going back to what you were saying, Katie, about the division, I think this is worth pointing out too. The division wins, it was 2.5, right? That's what you had?
Yeah, 2.5. Yep.
They do play the Jets in week 18. We don't know what that's going to look like. The Jets could be going into the playoffs and wanting to rest Aaron Rodgers, and there's your win right there. If they're able to split with Buffalo and Miami, that could be something to kind of keep an eye out there for that one. So if you feel like they can split with either, or who knows, if they can split with Buffalo and Miami, you might be gifted that win in week 18 against the New York Jets. But overall for the season, I think that this team is going to be better. They're going to be a better football team than they were a year ago. I just fear that the record's going to be the same because of the division getting better, because of the road. It's one of the toughest schedules in the NFL, that it's going to almost look the exact same. Maybe not from a week-to-week standpoint from a viewing perspective, but when we kind of sit back here a year from now, or we're kind of coming up after week 18, we'll say, all right, the Patriots went, 7 and what, and 8 and what? They're still under 500, but I thought that we got DeAndre Hopkins maybe, or I thought we got Juju Smith-Schuster. I thought we fixed the offense with Bill O'Brien. You did. It was a better football team overall. You were more competitive, but ultimately you're still playing Philadelphia. You're still playing a Miami team who just has your number under Tua Tagovailoa. The Jets, who are set and forget couple wins a year, that's not the case anymore. You're still playing, you're not going to Kansas City, but you're facing the Kansas City Chiefs. Denver could be better who you have on your schedule. Dallas you're going to. I mean, there are a lot of teams coming up here that are going to be difficult. Washington and the Colts, those should be easy wins. But outside of that, it's tough to kind of go down the schedule and tick off, that's a clear win. That's a clear win. There's only maybe 2 or 3. And outside of that, you're like, okay, you really got to hope that Bill Belichick is able to scheme things up, or this defense is able to shut teams down, or Mac Jones is able to elevate and get back to the quarterback we saw during his rookie year. There's a lot of ifs there. And so that to me is what's giving me pause to say, okay, they fixed everything. They're going to be a playoff team. Yeah, they might be better, but I don't know if the record's going to indicate that.
So maybe playing their total wins in division and not necessarily total wins. All right, Tyler Sullivan, thank you so much. Upgraded to a super friend accidentally, but you always should have been as far as I am concerned. Thank you for your insight on the Patriots. Stay tuned for more All 32 with daily drops in your podcast feed and on YouTube. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube page, and we'll see you for the next one.
Thanks, Sully.
Thanks, Sully.